place was like shaped like this. Like New Jersey. It was a bow tie, he said.
Yeah.
Good evening. This is the Washington Township Land Use Board regular meeting for March the 4th, 2026. The time is 7:05. Adequate notice of this meeting was published in the Daily Record on January the 13th, 2026, and the Observer Tribune on January the 15th, 2026. This notice also was posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building and the township website at wtmorris.org on the same date. Notices were mailed as requested. The order of the applications, resolutions may not be listed in the order they will be heard. No new cases or witnesses shall be heard subsequent to 10:30 p.m. Will you please rise for the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call, please, John?
Mr. Trevena.
Here.
And Marino.
Here.
Mr. Curioni.
Here.
Ms. McGroaty. Here. Mr. Bauer.
Here.
Mr. Stanley.
Here.
Mr. Mendez.
Here.
Mr. McCarver.
Here.
And Chair Bryce.
Yeah.
And Mr. Spina.
And
Here.
Mr. Spina, sorry, you're on the side here. Mr. Spina. And we have Attorney Bryce. And Engineer Schrek. And David currently is not here yet. And myself.
Okay, so before we go any further, I just want to introduce the board to our new attorney, Jim Bryce. He comes to us from a couple of different towns, and was the candidate we chose, myself, Eric, and Anthony, and this is his first time in the ring here.
That's right. Well, thank you, and it's a privilege to be here, so thank you.
Okay. We have minutes from our January the 7th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions, any issues? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Abstain.
Abstain as well.
Minutes pass. The minutes reflect that Mr. Banisch arrived.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Okay, at this time, I'd like to open to the public for items that are not on the agenda. We have a couple of resolutions, a couple of applications, Heath Village and the Leavenzone, and then a few discussion items. Anybody here that would like to discuss anything else? Seeing nobody, I will close to the public for items that are not on the agenda. First item is a resolution for our housing plan element and fair share plan. This is a document that we've seen before, we've approved it before. There have been a number of revisions to it, and the latest one we have is revised on March the 4th today. I've gone through all the changes that have been done, and to quote Mr. Banisch, none of the changes actually change the structure and the need for affordable housing in the way that we put it down in June 2025. So it's just a couple of things that have changed. What we need to do, though, is we need to make a motion to approve this modified plan. It didn't write rise to a level of having to have another hearing, minor modifications. So, can I hear a motion to approve this revised housing plan and fair share plan?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favour? Let's have a roll call, please, John.
Mayor Marino.
Aye.
Meeting person Mariano.
I abstain.
Ms. McGroaty.
I'm gonna abstain, I wasn't able to this
Mr. Bauer.
Aye.
Mr. Banisch.
Aye.
Mr. Mendez.
Aye.
Mr. McCarver.
Aye.
Mr. Spina.
Aye.
Chair Bryce.
Aye.
Mr. Trevena.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, the next resolution we have is the appointment of our land use officer.
Motion approved.
Thank you, I have it somewhere.
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Bryce, you are now officially our
Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Okay, the next resolution is our list of subcommittees. We all received the new one, JoAnn put out. Dated January the 7th. Do we need to do some changes to this? I know I see Matt's name on a couple
Yeah,
of
I didn't
things.
change anything because, you have to decide what you want to do with the normal replacement.
Would you like to take the place of everything that Matt was doing?
Sure.
Okay.
Finance committee, fire company liaison, and recreation committee.
That good? Okay. All right, historic preservation committee applications, we have none.
We have to vote on it. With the changes that we just made.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so resolution 2026-05 is the list of all the different committees that we're on. We just made some changes and we need a motion to make those changes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Okay. Historic Preservation Committee applications, we have none. However, we do have some discussions on historic issues, which we'll get into later today. All right, our first application is for Heath Village, 430 Schools Mountain Road.
Do you want to pick these? These go first, out of order?
Yes. Just before you do we have a representative of the Legal Zone here?
Yeah.
Mr. Salvaggi?
Yes, on behalf of the Leading Zell, I did receive an email from the board secretary earlier today about the need to notice for the request. I can't say I disagree with it, so what we'll do is notice for your April meeting and take it from there. So that we won't present a formal testimony tonight, so appreciate it.
Yeah, the cover letter that we got seems to refer to a resolution from '85. Seems to be a concern where there was one later, 1994.
There were several, there was one in 2010. And I have all of those, I'd be happy to submit to, when there was that one,
I have all of those.
you have all.
You have the 10, 2010?
Yeah, 2010. I don't have anything after that.
So,
Okay.
if you have all of those, that'll be fine, and then, we'll proceed that meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
All right. Okay. So we'll go back to Heath Village. 430 Schools Mountain Road, outdoor dining enclosure.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself for this.
Yes. Good evening.
Hey, Township, Coniston Groves representing Heath Village, and I have with me Marino, who is the Executive Director of Heath Village. And our request, as we had submitted it, was for a waiver of site plan. We are seeking permission to enclose an open seating area. It does not involve, although it does involve a change which is exterior, and therefore requires us to come before you for the waiver request. This is how it was explained to us by your zoning officer, that he felt he could not do this administratively. But we are not proposing any disturbance. It's a patio area, it's exterior to the building, and as we explained in our letter, and we provided some documentation to show where it was and explain that the request is simply to allow it to be enclosed, and we can describe the method of enclosing it so that it will be available as part of the cafe during more of the season, so that it can be utilized as, I think, a 3-season seating area rather than now much more limited utility because of it's being completely exposed.
So it's going to be heated and lit.
It will. You need, Marion to be smart.
Yeah, we're gonna be taking testimony and support.
If she's gonna answer questions, why don't you do that for her?
And if you raise your right hand, do you swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? You state your name and spell your last for the record.
Sure, it's Mary Ellen Bove, B as in boy, O, V as in Victor, E.
Thank you.
Yeah, just explain what the mechanism is that's proposed to, this, what we described sort of as the screen, and also what, will it be lit, and how it's split will provide, heating.
Sure. It's currently an outside deck that is adjacent to our cafe. It's enclosed by a railing, it's above grade level, and it's really not utilized. And we need more seating in the cafe, and because this is an underutilized area, we thought this would be a pretty simple way for us to avail ourselves of more space. So we're looking at just putting a roof over it. It will have a mini split, it will have lighting. The sides of it will be, it's a vinyl, but it can also be raised so that it just has a screen. Just can be more temperature controlled for more of the year. We're changing the doors so that it's a little bit wider, it lets more light into the cafe. And we are also making it more accessible. Currently, there's a pretty good step up to get out onto the deck. We're going to make it flush to the surface of the cafe. So it's really just making the deck into an enclosed deck, like a 3-season room.
So there's not going to be any more impervious coverage, you're just using the same footprint as you have and putting a roof on.
We're very low tech, but we do have some photos if that would be helpful. Between the two of us, I mean, this is actually the area, it's a tiny area that's attached to the cafe, and that's the entirety of it. Simply putting a roof over from which the screens will be attached and allowing them to use it. No disturbance, it's at the second level of the building. No expansion of the footprint as it exists today.
And it's not actually visible anywhere outside.
Ms. Dodger, if you could just mark that as A1.
Yeah, the one that I
Just the
feel
one
like,
you demonstrated.
my show and tell picture. Sure.
Board,
Tasty.
any questions, board?
Would this not contribute to a higher FAR? You're changing the building coverage.
We're not actually, this is an existing footprint, we're not expanding it, this is part of the building today.
Well,
So
but you're increasing the habitable area. I agree with you, there's no more impervious coverage and there's building coverage below, but you're now actually increasing building coverage above, no? By putting a roof on it and having posts, you've now created additional building area on the second floor. Am I wrong?
I don't know, does that make?
No, I don't think you are, but I'd have to look at the definition of floor area ratio to see if it would include, what I would consider to be a temporary structure, the way it's been described here.
Okay, hold on, I missed temporary, because it seemed like a roof was being constructed and attached to the building, no?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Based on their documents, my understanding it's only gonna be 280 square feet.
I don't doubt that it's negligible, but
Right.
like, what if for some reason they were right at the number?
Well,
I don't wanna make anybody jump through hoops for this, I just wanna see if we have any data for that.
Let me see what I can find.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this would be measured though on, how many acres is? 100. It's 100 acres.
I still can't find the answer.
But I think it's a rounding error was my point.
I don't doubt that, I understand it's de minimis, but like,
Well, do we feel concerned about this? Does he need to know what the number is?
Was
Yeah.
subject to verification.
yeah, I mean, like, that's the same, I don't need to see it again.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're right, if there's
Mhm.
thousands of available square foot, like, obviously we don't need to see it again.
So they're looking for a site plan waiver, so that's what we're trying to approve.
Got it.
So I would make a motion to approve a site plan waiver subject to confirmation that the floor area ratio is nice. That's a good.
Can I just ask a quick question? Will it be made?
Yep.
Yes, there would be a mini split.
Oh, so I didn't think so. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we were heard at this point in time if there's any questions or concerns. It's not a noticed hearing, it's a site plan.
Does anybody in the public would like to ask a question about this application? This is the time to do it. See nobody? Close it to the public.
I should say the property is identified, the lot and block, we didn't put it in the record, but it's in the letter, so it's part of the application, just so we're clear.
So there's a motion?
My motion still stands.
Second. Second. All those in favor? Do we need a roll call vote? No? Nobody opposed? No? Okay, your site plan waiver is approved.
Thank you, and we'll be in touch with David to make sure we're okay with these.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the definition doesn't really provide any guidance in terms of exempting it. So,
I'm sorry,
our definition of floor area ratio is the
Oh.
ratio of the total floor area to lot area.
so the floor.
I want to compare that to the MLUL
I understand it's probably
FAR.
minutes.
So what we can deal
We'll
with.
talk, yeah, and if there is, obviously, if it requires further relief,
Yeah.
we'll either come back to you or they'll decide if it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't think it was that close.
I'm
We
sure it
understand.
isn't, but there's no way for you to know.
Understood.
Fair question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Joris, you can come back. Okay, so now we're into our discussion and correspondence phase. First bullet is ordinance modifications for Heath Village.
Okay. Heath Village
That's right.
came in and I think they showed you a number of, changes to their site plan that they plan on coming in with. And they proposed a number of changes to the ordinance itself. I have only today given them a draft in reply to their proposed changes. The most notable changes that they're looking for, I think, really are three. Along Schooley's Mountain Road, they have a couple of duplex dwellings that are closer to Schooley's Mountain Road than the 150-foot setback. They are proposed to be situated behind a cluster of trees on the east side of the track. So that would be a significant departure, because it looks like it's about a setback of about 75 to maybe 100 feet. Adjacent to the proposed affordable multifamily dwelling unit on Newburgh Road, they have a duplex dwelling unit that can't meet the required side yard setback. And they're looking for specific relief for one duplex dwelling in proximity to the rear property line for the affordable housing multifamily dwelling. They would prefer not to have to apply for variance relief for any of these setbacks. And so the modifications that I put in the ordinance are to give them specific relief for those two setback requirements. We have another standard in the ordinance, a 75-foot setback from any tract boundary, and they can't comply with that along the rear of the industrial office building that fronts on Newburgh Road. They're close. They can make a 50-foot setback. The tract boundary setback is 75 feet. It looks to me like the specific relief that would be required is 60 feet. In the case of the two setback conditions, the Squeeze Mountain Road setback condition, and the one to the tract boundary related to, I'd say, about a dozen dwellings. I put standards in the ordinance, kept the setback requirements as they stand currently in the ordinance, so there's not wholesale relief. But I put a standard in the ordinance that under limited circumstances, the board can grant relief from the setback requirements, but the setbacks that they're looking for, 60, 75 feet, where the design objectives and limitations of the ordinance are being advanced, but where there are environmental or physical limitations that exist that prevent them from meeting the full setback. The idea behind those provisions is to accommodate their need for setback relief without having to put them through the need for setback variances, for that matter, without having to put the board through that kind of relief as well. So the issues really come down to setbacks and a couple of violations of the setback.
Okay, so you drafted this document and sent it to the...
Send it to them to see if they still have concerns. There are a couple of other things. There is some fill that is proposed at the corner of Newburgh Road and Squeeze Mountain Road. And as I think most members of the board will recall, keeping that portion of the tract open to maintain a long view across the corner into the Musconetcong River Valley, so to speak, actually that's what the ordinance calls it, has been a primary planning objective. There's a considerable amount of fill they've got to move on the site. And we have a provision in the ordinance that does not commit to any specific amount of grading that may be permitted. And the grading limitation doesn't speak to fill. And it has to be essentially in proximity to where the homes are being built on the site. And so they put together some perspective drawings of what the condition would look like after the fill is added to the corner. And that perspective view, that rendering, a virtual rendering, was taken at a view 6 feet above street level, which is slightly higher than the driver's eye in a typical automobile passing by the site. So I put a provision in the ordinance saying that the virtual representation of that physical condition that they're proposing has to be prepared basically at the height of the driver's eye in a typical automobile by passing the site for you to consider allowing the fill and the regrading of the corner. That's another, I think, substantial issue that can be disposed of because I think they'll meet that test. But I think the test has to be reasonable and it has to be kind of measurable with some specificity as to just what the board is requiring. With respect to the variance relief, there's an additional test included where the board will allow departures on a limited basis. And that is only where the board is satisfied that there's adequate landscape screening being provided. So, in a nutshell, that seems to be what most of the changes come down to. And I expect that I'll get a reaction to the changes that I made to their proposed changes relatively quickly. At which time they can come back to the board and get referred up to the township committee for it.
Okay, so we're looking maybe next month?
I think so.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, the next bullet is the Affordable Housing Ordinance Consistency Review, and we have RO 0226, 0326, and 0426. So we'll take 02 first, okay? And
We already have ordinances on the books that are basically a roadmap for how the municipality discharges its fair share obligations. This first ordinance, 2026-02, or excuse me, R02-26, is what's commonly referred to as an affordable housing ordinance.
we had this on the top of the agenda, the resolution.
Oh, so it's already done?
No, Chairman, that was the housing element for sure.
Yeah.
This is for the actual implementation.
Yeah, this is a master plan consistency review in accordance with section 26. If the board is okay with me making short work of this, I will. The first ordinance, 02-26, is an affordable housing ordinance. We already have it on the books. This is an updating of that ordinance, which is required by all municipalities for fourth round compliance. There are no surprises in that ordinance. Ordinance 326 is a rezoning ordinance for 67 Drakestown Road. This is block 8, lot 8. As part of the municipal compliance process, the municipality was required to adopt its housing element fair share plan in June. At that point, following June 30th, there was a 2-month period for any interested party to comment or challenge on the plan. Washington Township had 2 challengers. Fair Share Housing Center, which challenged virtually every housing plan element in the state. And a man by the name of Joris, who is now the owner of Block 8, Lot 8, 67 Drakestown Road. The plan had 67 Drakestown Road in it for a development density of 6 dwelling units, per acre, the 20% set aside. In terms of settling the case, so to speak, and setting aside the challenger, the township committee engaged in a negotiation with the challenger and conceded to a development density of 10 dwelling units per acre with a 20% set aside, including a condition that the developer would have to conform to all the Highlands natural resource performance standards for development of the site. And so this ordinance rezones Block 8, Lot 8, 67 Drakestown Road for a development density of 10 dwelling units per gross acre. And that is consistent with the settlement agreement. It is a condition of the settlement agreement. And that's what that ordinance is about. And finally, ordinance number 4-26 is adoption of the Newburgh Road redevelopment plan to permit development of Newburgh Road as a non-condemnation area to address a portion of the municipal affordable housing obligation. It will permit the development of 231 townhouses and 58 affordable rental apartments in accordance with the rules that are set forth in ordinance R02-26. There are design standards, setback standards, everything you would expect to see in a redevelopment plan. In fact, similar to the standards that were adopted for the Kings Highway redevelopment area, which ordinance also is consistent with the adopted housing plan element and fair share plan. So in the case of all three ordinances, the planning board's charge under section 26 of the municipal land use law is to identify any inconsistencies. The appropriate finding relative to these three ordinances for each ordinance would be that the board would find that each ordinance is not inconsistent with the master plan because they are in fact consistent with the housing plan element and fair share plan.
Okay, thank you, David. So, we need to have a public input on these three. We can do all three together, or all separately.
Well, I don't think you need public comment on them, Mr. Chairman.
It is not required, but I understand that it is the preference.
Okay.
Public comment this evening.
All right, very well.
As to these, again, I think as Mr. Banisch stated, he's very accurate in stating that it's the board's challenge. And the first two, to determine whether they're consistent with the master plan and inclusive of the now amended housing element and fair share plan. The one is simply, I'm going to say administrative, and it's promulgated by the state, and it's a form, type of ordinance that has to be adopted. The second is obviously the zoning, and I think the biggest one that everyone's here about tonight is one related to the redevelopment area, which is also consistent with the housing element fair share plan with the master plan. If you want to have the public hearing as to all, I don't think that it's inappropriate at this point in time. And then at the conclusion of which, the board can make a determination as to the consistency of the ordinances.
Okay, so, public, we got three ordinances in front of us, the fair share housing, and then two ordinances to do with two separate lots. One's Newburgh and one's on, Gregstown. So, if anybody has any comments on any of the three, please come forward, state your name and address, and we'll go from there.
Hi.
I normally do for these types of.
All right, well, let's do
Well,
it.
actually, before we begin, I have a comment about the item that you voted on earlier in the meeting. Will we have a chance to make comment on that? On the plan, the affordable housing plan, not the three resolutions that are being voted on now?
No.
Really? I was told by the mayor that tonight would be the night to come and get questions answered.
As to the redevelopment plan, that's correct.
I asked if there would be an info session about affordable housing, because there was one scheduled last year that was canceled and never rescheduled. And I was told that tonight is the best night to come with questions that we have about affordable housing in the township.
Well, that's this O2 resolution.
It's the
Oh, that's right.
It's the O2 resolution.
And we had approved this last year. There were some modifications that we approved earlier tonight. For us to open it for questions about those modifications.
I suppose you could extend that courtesy to the public, Mr. Chairman, if you choose to.
And it is in relationship to, frankly, two of the ordinances that you're reviewing,
Right.
including ordinance, 0326, and I believe it's 0426. So, to the extent that they overlap, yes.
Okay, so,
I'll swear you in.
okay, what does that entail?
Just raise your right hand, it's easy.
All right,
You swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I swear.
Good. You state your name, spell your last word.
Spell my last name, Lindsay Mason, M-A-S-O-N.
Thank you.
So my question is about the affordable housing plan. So regarding the swap between West Mill and Kings Highway, what is the rationale for swapping 73 West Mill, which is township-owned land that would not require developers to build access units on, with Kings Highway? Because from the fourth round plan, you say, this property has since been found to be encumbered by wetlands, floodplains, and highlands, agricultural resource area designation. Notwithstanding these limitations, efforts to find a developer proved unsuccessful successful during the compliance phase due to a combination of the lack of interest by a developer and environmental encumbrances. At this time, the project appears to no longer be viable for the construction of affordable housing. So my question is, based on the most recent Highlands Council and NJDEP GIS data, 73 West Mill shows no mapped wetlands, while the Kings Highway site contains exceptional resource value wetlands. In addition, both areas are in floodplains, while only Kings Highway includes land designated as a flood hazard area, and both properties fall within an agricultural resource area. So can the board clarify why West Mill would be excluded on environmental or agricultural grounds when Kings Highway appears to have equal or greater map constraints?
The replacement of the site was initially prompted by the fact that it would require a substantial municipal subsidy, taxpayer subsidy to build 73 West Mill Road. And the conditions that were cited in the master plan that existed on 73 West Mill Road, to the best of my knowledge, is an accurate depiction of the conditions that are in fact reproducible on state and Highlands map.
So I'm confused by that because just this morning I went on the Highlands parcel map tool that they have and I compared the two and I don't see any wetlands on 73 West Mill. Can you direct me to where?
Well, if there were any, I think they would have been situated, actually, they may only be associated with the South Branch. They may not be on site, but if they are on site, they're going to be immediately adjacent to West Mill Road along the frontage. And if they're not, then they're across the street.
So where did the township get the information about the wetlands when they decided that it was not developable?
The developability of the site, as I said a moment ago, was the determination that it would require such a substantial taxpayer subsidy to build it.
Why is that not mentioned then as a reason for swapping it with Kings Highway?
I can't answer that. I don't. Sure.
Anybody else in the public?
Hi, can you just swear me in?
Yeah.
Which you?
Right. You swear affirm that the testimony you're about to give is worth the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
So help me God. Yes, I do.
Please state your name, spell your last name right.
Sure, my name is Camelia Cam Spadaccini, Spadaccini. I just have a few different questions, and apologies in advance if I'm taking up too much of your time, please just let me know. First, I did have a question about something that Mr. Banisch mentioned about consistency with the master plan. Did you say that if something's in the fourth round plan, then it is consistent with the master plan? Because what happens if a property is inconsistent with the master plan, but it's in the fourth round housing plan?
Well, any site that's in the fourth round housing plan is part of the master plan. And what the board is considering are 3 ordinances that essentially are ordinances that will implement the housing plan element in the fair share plan. And under the municipal land use law, whenever the governing body introduces the development regulation, it gets referred to the planning board for determination as to whether it is inconsistent with the master plan. Because these implementing ordinances are effectively implementing the housing plan element in fair share plan, they are by definition not inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay, that helps, thank you. Okay, and I have a couple of questions from residents that were unable to attend the meeting. Number one is, it is in relation to these ordinances because it has to do with the high-density development on Newburgh Road, in addition to the high-density development that's going to be on Kings Highway. What effect can we anticipate these new developments to have on our taxes, if any?
Well, I can't answer that question,
Strong suit.
yeah, tonight.
Okay,
When that application comes in, there'll be a fiscal impact analysis
got it.
that they will submit. And what it will identify is the revenue that will be generated by the development and their share of municipal service costs
Got it.
that the development will generate. And then at that point, you can make an assessment as to what the fiscal impact of the development is on the municipality.
So from like a timing perspective, when can residents expect to have answers to that question particularly?
Well, I don't know when that site plan application may come in,
Okay,
but my guess would be later in 2026. I would expect to see something in the fall and not sooner than that.
okay, thank you. Relatedly, are both of these high-density developments going to be zoned for Flocktown? Flocktown Hospital School?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Well, if they would be based on current zoning for the schools. So what is the township doing to prepare for hundreds of new children coming into the district?
Two things, one is a board ed question, and two, the enrollment in this Board of Ed is down by over 30% in the last 20 years.
That doesn't comport with the truth, which is that the classrooms in Flocktown, Westman are already,
I don't know about specific schools, but the overall district enrollment,
okay, but I'm asking about the specific school.
that's not our purview, that's the Board of Ed's question.
They told me to ask the land use board.
They're, well, they can ask what they want.
Okay, I'm just reading
They're the
information.
ones that-
They said that there's been no communication with them around how to prepare for an influx of new students. But I understand, but ostensibly there will be all of, you're
And they will
talking
have to make-
semantics,
they will
but
have to
this is
make-
the reality.
They will have to make adjustments to where they put their children in the different schools as their conditions permit.
By then, you mean the school board will have, so, just let me repeat, the school board may have to make adjustments to what schools children attend.
I can only assume that, I'm not on the Board of Ed, that
Okay.
sounds like a logical.
Okay,
I mean, the school board did that many years ago when Cuccinella was built.
yes,
So,
and they built it, yes.
because my kid got moved from Old Farmers to Lockdown, so kids.
Mine too, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
it's
school-
disruptive, and if we can avoid that, we can try
Nobody
to
was
avoid
happy,
that.
nobody was happy with it back then, and it's
And
just
they're
the
not
way
happy
it
with
works.
it now?
And when
It's
they
just
move
the way it works.
And when
I
they
hear
move from lockdown to the middle school, it's disruptive too, it just, kids have to learn how to be adaptable, and that's just the way it is.
The other thing I want to add is that, because there's no applications, we don't know the distribution of units. So we don't know, a one-bedroom unit is not gonna have 3 children.
Right.
A 2-bedroom unit is unlikely to have more than 1 or 2 children. So, until applications are before us, we really don't have that information either. So we wouldn't have any information to give to the board that.
That makes sense, thank you. One more question. So we know the affordable housing law is like not going away. What is the township doing now to prepare for the 5th round? What parcels are in consideration, if any? How are there swaths of land that are potentially going to be rezoned again to prepare for the 5th round of affordable housing?
Well, this fourth round takes us 10 years.
Yeah. That 10 years goes fast. Ask anyone who did the last one. And things change, obviously, but are there steps being taken to prepare for that? So that it's not 3 huge high-density developments happening again in 10 years?
Well, I'll try to answer your question so that you have an answer.
And if you can't answer it, that's okay
Yeah.
too, like, I get it, it's worth it to ask.
Well, yeah, I know. No, the first part of the answer, my answer to your question is no, there are no sites that are on the table right now.
Okay,
And the town is a vacant land adjustment town.
Yes.
Meaning that it has diminished developable land resources and is actually incapable of addressing the full complement of its
Yes.
fair share.
I read it, yeah.
Right. And in the statute that was adopted in March of 2024,
Mhm.
it included a provision that said for towns such as Washington that have a vacant land adjustment, they have to provide for zoning, essentially redevelopment zoning, 25% of the obligation has been adjusted.
Is it the unmet need?
That's right, it's 25% of the unmet need. So what you can expect is that Washington Township is going to be put in a position to have to find overlay zoning to address 25% of the unmet need in round 5. That's what I would expect the planning challenge will be when the 5th round arrives.
Okay, and when does the town normally start planning for the next round? As Mr. Bryce said, it's 10 years from now, obviously, but is it like at 5 years,
It's,
5 years here?
it's on a curious situation because it seems to never go away.
I know.
And the municipality, right, the municipality always has to deal with adjustments and changes,
Mhm.
and it has been on an ongoing basis. There's no, so far as I'm aware, there's no effort underway to begin to plan for round 5 today.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Sir, if you just raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is worth the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Oh, yeah.
Please state your name, spell your last name, correct?
First name is Rich, last name is Stewart, S-T-E-W-A-R-T.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions as well. Most of these high density proposals are on single lane local roads. Have any traffic studies been done to review the impact they have on the roads and commuters or anything like that?
Traffic studies will be part of all these applications.
But today, no.
Yeah, okay. And the site proposed on Newburgh is still relatively close to Muscatine Common. Any environmental impacts been considered?
Yes, and it will be built in accordance with all applicable law.
Okay. And then the existing sewer and water facilities, have we considered what kind of impact that'll have?
So far as we are aware, there's adequate water and sewer to service all the development.
Will the development be, well or city water?
It's gonna be city water.
City water and city sewage?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, no question.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good evening.
Thank you, raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is worth the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you.
Please state your name, spell your last name, correct?
Janet Larson, L-A-R-S-O-N.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious, if the township has considered, senior housing, veteran housing, group homes, instead of all this high-density building. I don't see why we need to have 2 apartment complexes going up at minimum. So I'm just wondering if there's been any discussion in that regard.
Yes, and I don't know if you had a chance to look at the housing plan element and fair share plan, but for round 3, there's a very long list of, I think, 22 sites. Most of the sites are group homes. And there is also a site in there for age-restricted affordable units, which will be coming to the board, I would say, in the next couple of months as a site plan application. So those components are included in there. One of the constraints on the municipality from a planning perspective is that the law requires that at least half of the obligation is delivered as family units, or the municipality doesn't have a compliant plan. So yes, those options are always considered, and those opportunities have been pursued vigorously in the past and on an ongoing basis. But the one thing to be mindful of is that at least half of the obligation has to be delivered as family units.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, I will close this to the public for any questions or comments on RO 226, RO 326, and RO 426.
And Chairman, on the dais today, there are 3 resolutions. The 3 resolutions reflect a finding of consistency
so, with these documents in front of me, are we inclined to make one motion for all three, or three separate motions?
I think that it would be preferable to do, three different motions on a roll call. Okay.
Okay, so, 0226, fair share housing, do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please, John.
Spina, was Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Seconded, Mr. Manning?
Yep.
Mr. Trevena,
Yes.
Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Committee Person Korea,
Yes.
Mr. McGroaty,
Abstain.
Mr. Bauer,
Yes.
Mr. Banisch,
Aye.
Mr. Mendez,
Aye.
Mr. McCarver,
Yes.
Mr. Spina, and Geoffrey.
Aye. Okay. The next one is RO 326. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
JoAnn?
Mr. Trevena,
Yes.
Mayor Marino,
Aye.
Committee Person Korea,
Aye.
Mr. McGroaty,
Aye.
Mr. Bauer,
Yes.
Mr. Banisch,
Aye.
Mr. Mendez,
Aye.
Mr. McCarver,
Yes.
Mr. Spina,
Aye.
and Geoffrey.
Aye. Okay, ordinance 0426. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
JoAnn?
Mr. Trevena,
Yes.
Mayor Marino,
Yes.
Committee Person Korea,
Yes.
Mr. McGroaty,
Yes.
or Ms. McGroaty, sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Bauer,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Aye.
Mr. Mendez,
Aye.
Mr. McCarver,
Yes.
Mr. Spina,
Aye.
and Geoffrey.
Aye. Okay, so all three ordinances carry.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is historic application completeness review. We have a subset of the board that do historic reviews, and I think we may need to put a completeness review in there based on things that Tim said and things that you guys saw on this last recent.
I'm not sure if you believe this, well, maybe that is, a lot of the interpretation, I guess, for lack of a better term, is done in the field.
Yeah.
Looking at the individual property and what the homeowner proposes to do. Maybe along Mr. Price's recommendation, maybe after we have that meeting, maybe then they should come back to us with their proposals, such as for the one property in question in Middle Valley, that shape for the front door, any other architectural plans or changes. So maybe more of us take a look at it, rather than just the subcommittee being responsible for approval or not.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I think it's a great idea. I think that, we should definitely be making sure that we have a very clear understanding of the items that are explicitly outlined in the historic preservation guidelines. And, yeah, no, we can at least present that, say, hey, this is what we're doing. And that way it's not just kind of so small and approved, I guess.
Right. And just, I think I'll ask JoAnn for the person's name, the applicant's name from Middle Valley. I think Mr. Mendez and I will reach back out to her just to make sure that she has an understanding, or confirm she has an understanding of what we expect as a historic preservation. And I think, the letter that was submitted to the board had valid concerns, and I think it was more of a, let's close it in, letter out, it was work in progress, rather than we want to ensure that the final result is matches what the historic nature of the building requires.
Okay, so we'll just put a bit of structure then around these,
Right, so maybe instead of just,
complicated.
maybe, yeah, more, instead of the historic preservation subcommittee coming back with an informal report, maybe we'll ask the applicant to come back and just make a short presentation
also gives us a route if we don't do something properly.
Right, and it's a learning curve for us as well, because this is something we just started doing. So, we're suggesting this to be a little clear.
I think that's appropriate.
And at that time, we'll reach out to Mr.
All
Let him know.
Yeah.
You're coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any further comments on that issue? No? Okay. We have the New Jersey planner. And we had a meeting there, Eric and myself and the mayor, with some individuals that are trying to do something with the mill in town. And they've got a grant and they want to make it so that people can come in and take a look at the place. And that would require ADA ramps and bathrooms and fire things that you need when you have people coming to visit old places. So we kind of send them away with that thought that yes, you can do this. It's not something that you need land use board approval for. You certainly need historic approval, you need fire approval, construction approval, things like that.
Where's
How we like that.
Eastern Road, the old,
The old mill, that's all right.
okay, as you're coming in from Chester on the right-hand side, big building just inside that. Right on the right side. Cross the border. You're not a local, so.
But they say, they do anything outside.
Beg pardon?
They do anything outside.
Outside, probably not, well.
They might throw some
They,
paint.
they need some, it needs some serious help. I think the back of the building is more or less missing any sheeting. So there's definitely some work that needs to be done there. They gotta tie up with some architectural issues.
Sure, the entire thing is probably within a bunch of that.
Well, then there's that, there are some other challenges.
Okay, well, that'd be.
And then we had some other discussions about the school's mounted general store, and maybe somebody coming in with some ideas to do things with that. Another historic areas. Okay, I have some bills here that need to be paid. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to pay the bills?
Second.
All those in favour? Any board comments? Any issues to talk about? No. Okay. Then let's adjourn this meeting. We'll meet again April 1st. Thank you very much.